hello! This is the overview. It might be a little redundant, we'll see, but I'm just going to go over the whole book because, no, I'm more than sure that I didn't go over Family Style at all. I think I just said that I read it and it was good, which it is, but I think I should talk about it a little bit more. So it is called Family Style, Memories of an American from Vietnam. It's by Pham. This is the cover, and it even won an award. So, I heard that this book was good before I even read it. I actually met him at the Charles E. Schulz Museum during one of their conventions when I got 2 other comic novels, and so he got to tell me about his book. He was telling me how it was a graphic memoir based off of foods and meals that he had growing up. So certain food triggers very specific memories, and these memories, like in chronological order, tell us how his family immigrated from Vietnam to America. And it starts on the boat, so it starts on a boat. The chapter does start with rice and fish, but the first thing you see him eat is watermelon, and they've been given some food before pirates attack. And they attack the boat, they kill people, they do horrible things, and his mom tells him to hide like within her, just like, you know, holding him and telling him to close his eyes and don't open them. And so you just see pages of black, and you just know that horrific things are happening. And the next page that you see where things are happening is his mom saying that we'll be okay and that they made it. There are pages that are not just black too, and they're like just snippets of the horrific violence that is happening on the ship, and the words repeating, "I'm right here with you," from his mom, like being repeated, "I'm right here with you, I'm right here," and that everything will be okay. And it is until she says, "You can open your eyes now," does he feel safe to do so. And they made it out. They made it out okay, and she saved a rice ball for him. And even though, like, at first you see this big juicy watermelon in the beginning of the chapter, that rice ball was just, he was just so happy to have that little bit of home. It says, "I can still taste the rice ball, the saltiness of the fish, and the sweetness of the rice." So it was such an important lingering memory that not only does probably eating those rice balls bring back that memory in general, but if he's thinking about that memory, he can probably damn near taste the rice ball. The next chapter is called Bang Goon. I had to look up that pronunciation, but every chapter starts with a little bit of food. Sorry if that was blurry. It immediately follows the last chapter where they were on the ship, and there are planks all in the water. Looks like they have crashed. That the boat has been no longer functioning. It looks like the boat has fallen apart, probably from the pirate attack, or maybe they had just finally gotten to the part where they needed to, that they started swimming to shore. They just take a moment to say, you know, we made it. They find a bus, and they find that that's going to a refugee camp, and they go straight there. They try to get their own housing, but you need money for housing. They're told that it's slim pickings, so you better have some good money. And the dad's like, "We don't have any money," and the mom goes, "Just actually," and she opens the seam of the shorts of one of the kids, and I believe it's Thien's little brother, and she pulls out a piece of what is it, gold? I think it's a piece of gold. She goes, "This is all we have." Gives it to the person in charge, and they get their own little section to themselves for the family. And immediately the kids are trying to make friends with Thien, trying to be like, "Oh, let's go," I think it's throw slippers. They have a game that they've created, and they really want to show him around and teach him how to play. And in the meantime, the parents are trying to figure out what they have to do to get their name on a list to get to America, and how to earn money while they're there. In doing so, she does run into someone that is selling her own bangoon, like she's making it to order, and her name has been called to go to America, so she's gonna sell her stand and has offered to sell it to the mom. And the family's like, "You don't know how to make this," and she's like, "I'll learn." like, we need money. And so she teaches her everything she can before she leaves, the chef, that is. And she leaves it to the mom to run her business. And immediately people are not liking the food. They're like, "Ugh, God, the last lady was so much better." She's like, "Hey, I'm trying, okay? I've never done this before. Ease up." But she just keeps trying and trying. So you just see her, there's a couple shots of watching her take her stuff home and take it back to the stand, and home being where they're sleeping, and trying again the next day and trying to get better. Eventually you see the progression, and people are like, "Oh, you're getting really good," and you just there's hope, success, and not just survival. She gets to the point of even selling out, and that's great for business. Thien, on the other side, is learning all sorts of things, like about crabs and about how to throw slippers and where the layout of everything is, and they're waiting for their name to be called. Of course, every time their name isn't called, it's another blow to the chest, right? How long are they going to be there? They really don't know. Then, in the middle of a game, their name gets called, and they're excited. They now get to immigrate to America, and they're going to have to live with someone for a while first, but I mean, it's a chance finally, instead of being in the camp. Before they leave, and they're all excited about going to America, they're talking about how they're never going to have to sleep on the floor again, and that they're, going to have all this great opportunity. It's like, it's nothing but a great moment of hope. And Thien's a little sad because he just made a bunch of friends, and he just got this really cool magnet from the game that they were playing. It's kind of like gambling, but like a kid's version. They throw their stuff in a pile, and then they, like, from a distance, throw their slipper at the pile, and I think whatever their slipper lands on after it settles, they get to keep. I can't quite remember. I could go back and read it again. It's a clever game though, and it reminded me of gambling a little bit. The next chapter is called Steak and Potatoes. So they do make it to America. Of course, everyone speaks English, and it just sounds like wah, 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 wah. There's a gentleman holding a sign at the airport with their name, Pham, and that's going to be their caretaker. They're going to go live with him for a little bit, and he's actually pretty excited to see them and to show them around. He's going to take them to the grocery store and get some steak and potatoes, and he was like, "Yeah, your first American meal. I'm going to make you some steak and potatoes." And they're just like, "Sure, whatever, man." Whatever you say. And so they get to his place. He pulls out the couch, and it's like a Murphy bed type, a pull-out bed. And they are fucking stoked, no more floor. And then he just starts talking. The guy just starts talking away, and they're just like, "We're just so happy that we made it. We don't even care." But Thien ate so fast that it made him sick, and he had to it made him throw up, unfortunately. And then I'm pretty sure this is their first night with him, and a neighbor walks by from the patio, like the sliding glass doors from the guy's patio, and he's just like staring inside with his groceries. I'm assuming he's walking by from his car to his house and glaring into somebody else's home and making judgments for what he sees that has absolutely nothing to do with his fucking business whatsoever. I'm pretty sure that's what's happening, because what happens next is that the guy that's taking care of him gets reported for having immigrants in his house. I guess that's against his policy in his apartment complex or wherever he is, which you would think that the immigration place would look into that and make sure that the homes that they were letting people go to were legitimate and that they wouldn't cause any issues. But this gets them kicked out, and they have to figure out something else to do. Thankfully, they find other Vietnamese families that have gone through similar situations, who have also immigrated over, who have helped other people, they're trying to have a close-knit community to help each other out. And it's nice to know people who understand you. It's nice to know people who know your language and that you can just talk to, and that you don't have to God, it must be exhausting to constantly try to filter what you're trying to say when you would like to just be able to talk to somebody. So I'm sure it's a relief to have people who relate to you, who understand you, who cook food that you know and love from home that you might not know how to make. It must be a fucking relief. So the next chapter is called Strawberries and Potato Chips. So they're playing, Thien is playing that slipper gambling game with his friends, and he almost gambles away his magnet, and he doesn't want to lose it. But there is this bag of chips that he is unfamiliar with, and he's like, "What's that?" And they're like, "Oh, that's chips." And he's like, "Well, what's that?" And they're like, "Oh, it's good, dude. You should try it." And he's like, "Bet I'm gonna win that." And he doesn't win the bag of chips. Somebody else does, but they are gracious enough to like share a couple of chips with a couple of people, especially Thien, who's never had a chip before. And so he takes one, and he takes a little piece off and gives it to his little brother, and he has the chip, and he's like, "Oh my god." Like that salty goodness, yes. And so he gets home, and he's like asking, can we go to the grocery store with you, please, 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 please. And the mom's like, "Sure." As it is, the grocery store is this like never-ending supply of food, so it's like kind of daunting. But she doesn't know why she probably doesn't know why he wants to go, but she doesn't seem to mind or care why he wants to go. She just takes him, and his little brother. He takes the bags of chips and puts it like in the cart. She's like, "What's this?" And they're like, "Please." And then she's like, she tries to pay with food stamps. Everyone is like, "Mah, mah, mah, mah," again, not saying anything that she recognizes. I guess the amount is too much. The food stamps is not covered. There's a certain amount of food that food stamps does not cover. She has to put the chips back. So she's trying to put some food away, and she looks at the chips, and they're just not a necessity. And she looks at her son, Thien, and she's like, she's obviously apologetic, but she has to put it back. That night, she hears about another job, and she's just like, "I'm so fucking tired. Are you kidding me? I don't even know how many jobs she was working. I think she was working 3 different jobs. She was a dishwasher, she was a lab technician, she was something else. I think she had another job. I can't remember what else she was doing. They're saying that there is picking strawberries, and she's like, "Oh, I'm so tired." And they're like, "It's 75 cents a box." And she was like, "All right, we're in." And the dad's like, "No, please, no." But they go early in the morning. They take the kids with them. The kids get to have some berries. They get to have their first strawberries. But she has a little surprise for Thien. She has a bag of chips that she pulls out, and she's like, "Hey, don't expect this every day. This is a special occasion." And he's like, "It is, why?" And she said, "Because today we're officially American." And I think that's so sweet. The next chapter is called Salisbury Steak. This is about Thien being in school, and he's experiencing new foods, new people, also the things that his parents were experiencing where everyone's talking in a different language. It just sounds like wah 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 wah, and there's very little people that he knows that he can relate to or talk to. He's really nervous. He doesn't want to go to school without his mom and his dad. He doesn't, I think before maybe he was going to a daycare. I don't think he was actually in school yet when he was playing with those kids. Or maybe they were in the playground area by the neighborhood, like the park. Because this on his he's going to school with his backpack in this chapter, and he's scared. He does not want to go, and his mom's like, "Hey, this is one of the reasons why we came here, is for a better future, a brighter future, for you to create your own story. It's time for you to be brave." And she's like, "Just it's your time now. Don't cry. Be brave." A really good pep talk, to get him through this, and he goes. Even though he doesn't really want to, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be fun. And being a new kid is always really nerve-wracking, especially when you're put in front of the class and they're like, "Hi, say hello," and they're like, "Hi, Thien," and you're just like, it's fucking creepy. And so it's time for his lunch, and he gets free lunch, and he has a little thing around his neck, and they punch it, and they give him Salisbury steak. This is where he gets to sit around some kids that he actually knows and talk to people that he can just discuss with about what's going on. And they're like, "Oh, that's Salisbury steak, you're gonna like that." And he eats it, and he's like, "Oh god, hell no." He doesn't curse, but he's like, "Ugh." And his friend's like, "I'll take that, thank you." He's just gobbling it all up. And in class, he can hear all the students hearing things, learning how to say words. The teacher's up there with the placards with a symbol or an apple or a bee or whatever in it, and with the letters on top of it, and she's helping them with their pronunciation and learning how to read and word association, right? And he would obviously and he's in the back just playing with his magnet because he's like very unsure. He doesn't really know what's going on. And so in the meantime, his parents are taking English classes. The mom is, like I was saying, a lab technician, a dishwasher. She's also a custodian. She's doing whatever odd jobs that she can to keep them successful, keep them afloat, take care of their family. Thien's teacher does notice that he's alone in the class and that he's just playing with a magnet, and so she was like, this is a good opportunity, and she teaches him how to say magnet, and he loves it. He responds to it very well. She spends a more secluded amount of time, or not secluded, a more directed amount of time towards him to teach him the lesson that they went over today, because I think he's in there during recess or waiting for his parents to pick him up. I'm not sure, but she doesn't waste that time. She sits with him and goes over that day's lesson with them, teaches him bee and apple and the other things that the kids were learning that day. And it might take him a second because English is a second language. He already knows how to say this stuff in Vietnamese. And then within the same chapter, you're kind of mirroring what the parents are doing. So now they're going to learn how to use the ATM for the first time, and they're memorizing what the buttons even mean. So they're like, we don't need to translate what every single prompt is to understand it. We just need to memorize what buttons mean what. So, green means this, red means that, don't press that button, that means this. Just all we have to do is memorize where we need to go, our number, and always take the receipt. They get to practice this, or the mom does, and she succeeds, and she's just like, yes, fuck yeah. Thien goes to lunch and talks to his friends, the ones he already had from the playground, and he was like, look, I've got a magnet. And he's like, oh, you're learning English, good for you, dude. And he's like, yeah, here's an apple, and here's some milk, and he's like listening to the crowd of kids, and there's like words here and there, like stop, apple, drink, milk. Like he's hearing words that he can recognize now, and he's just like, yeah, this is nice. And his friend's really happy for him, and he's like, well, you don't need that Salisbury steak. He's like, wait a second, I'm in a good mood, I'm gonna try this again. And he ends up liking it, I think. What's really cute is that his parents end up missing their bus, which is that's not the cute part. And you just see it's like really dark, but they do make it home really late, and they wanted to see their son for a little bit and ask how his day was. And he's like, what did you learn in school today? And I'm doing that quietly because it's at night, and I'm assuming she didn't want to wake everybody else up. But she was asking what he learned at school today, and he's like, this is a magnet. And she's like, magnet? And he's like, no, Mom, magnet. And that's just so cute. Oh my god. Next chapter is ham and cheese croissant. This is a little bit of later in life where like they've got a little accustomed to everything. The parents have a routine, the kids have a routine. He knows kind of how to take care of his little brother while his parents are gone. He knows if they're going to be home late, what to do. When he wakes up in the middle of the night, he does hear them arguing, and he's a little confused, but he goes back to sleep. I think he doesn't really know what to do. The last frame of that night is him just laying in bed staring at the ceiling. He starts talking to his brother about it on the bus the next day, asking if he heard it. He's like, no, I was asleep. He's like, they've been fighting a lot lately, and he's just really worried. He doesn't want his parents to get divorced, but he thinks that they might. And money issues are the number one reason for divorce, besides affairs, I would assume. But they always say financial issues is the number one issue in relationships that the people argue about. So it could be because of that. But his friends invite him to Chuck E. Cheese for their birthday, and he goes home to tell his mom. His mom just got laid off as a lab technician, so now she has to figure out something else that she's got to do, even though she was pretty sure she was safe. She's been a really good employee, she's been kept her nose down and everything, but they're doing a bunch of layoffs, so I think it's just, last in first out kind of thing. And so, but But he calls his mom at work before that happens, and he's like, can I please go to my friend's birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese? And she's like, okay, but you take your brother with you. He's like, okay, fine, you know. Brothers, siblings. And she even gives him a couple bucks to play with, which is very sweet, knowing that they have, with knowing the money issues that they have, she still made sure that there was still a couple of spending bucks for her sons. And that's so sweet. Such a good mom, dude. While Thien's there with his brother, they're having a great time at the Chuck E. Cheese. They do spend enough quarters, but his little brother really wants to go on this rocket, and he's like, please, 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 I want to go on the rocket. And he's like, okay, but this is our last 4 coins. And he's like, please, and he's just like, all right. And so he sits down and watches the band, and someone offers him the rest of their coins. He's like, no, it's okay. I'll just watch the band. It's all good. And then when he gets home, he sees his parents talking about money again and about how his mom got laid off. And she's like, I don't know, I'll just go figure something else out. Maybe I'll go back to the diner. Maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll do that. And Dad's like, this is just so frustrating. I really wish we had our own business like we wanted. That's what we planned. But we can't even save a little bit on the side. It's not fair. Like, we're barely making ends meet. And she's like, well, I wouldn't say we don't have any savings. Once again, little sly, slick, clever lady has been putting some savings in her mattress. And she shows him, and he's like, look, it's not a lot, but it's a little bit to get us somewhere, to start somewhere, you know. And they start looking at buildings. They see some listings, they go to some buildings. Everything kind of seems kind of, not dingy and grimy, but like run down, and probably the reason for the price, right? And they're like, okay, well, we have to be smart because we don't have a lot of funds to just throw away if this doesn't work out. And so they find this one shop, and it looks like a previous deli shop, and the dad just has a vision. He's so excited. There's a baker, Mr. Vu, that's going to teach the dad how to bake, and he's going to teach him how to make croissants and how to show him how to do all the other baking of breads and how to do the rest of the business. And then it's just going to be great, and they're going to have ham and cheese croissants all the time. And this is what ends up happening, I believe, because you see the family sitting around the table eating these ham and cheese croissants, and it just says, the dream. So the next chapter is another Vietnamese word, so I'm so sorry for butchering it, but I think it's com tam dak biet. Excuse me for butchering the fuck out of that, but I had a Google pronunciation on each of those. The next one is that shop, I believe, turned into a video store over time, or they sold that and used the money for something else, or they owned both, I'm not sure. But the next thing you see is Thien as a teenager working at the video store, and his friends come over to hang out, even though his dad's like, please don't have all your friends sitting around hanging out here, please, this is a business. And he's like, yeah. And then all his friends come and hang out. He has to call somebody for bringing in a movie. He like lets his friend, this really cute girl, borrow a movie that he's not supposed to like let borrow that. I think it's like on reserve for somebody else. And he's like, yeah, if you just bring it back tomorrow, we're totally good. But I definitely need that tomorrow. So he's just hoping that this girl he likes will follow through. And she's like, I'll watch it as soon as I get home. And so you're like, okay. And as soon as she leaves, all the friends are like, you're gonna get in trouble, fucker. Like, you're total sucker for that girl, dude. And he's like, dude, everything's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. He's like, don't worry. I'll just look up whoever has the other copy, and then I'll tell them that they have to like return it. And then the only other person speaks Vietnamese, and so he's like, fuck, dude, my Vietnamese is so bad, which is kind of funny. So now you see like the full circle moment is that at first you had a hard time like transitioning into being American and learning how to speak English and to eat certain foods and what have you, and now we've jumped to a certain time where he's having a hard time speaking Vietnamese and being around other Vietnamese kids, because later on he actually gets invited by that girl that he likes to hang out with some other Vietnamese kids, and he's like, I don't really know if like they'll like me, you know, I don't really hang out with a lot of Vietnamese kids, and I think that like I might be the odd one out, you know. And she's like, no, nonsense, it'll be fine. He does end up calling that number to try to get that rental back, and he does his very best, and he thinks that they said that they're going to bring that rental back in about an hour. He's like crossing his fingers. The teen boys that are left over at this shop are decide to watch a movie, and then they want to go out and eat. They choose burgers, and there is a little flashback in all gray of his mom staying up really late or getting up really early and making that, is it banchuan? Is that what it was again? I can't remember. The dish that she made at the camp that she learned how to make. And she's like, I'm just making him some food. I hardly see him. We work so much. I just want to make him a little bit of home. And she like specifically got up early just to make it for him. Then you cut back to where we're at here with the teen kids, and they're about to go get burgers. He opens up his food that his mom made him, and he just like looks at it and like he throws it in the trash. And you were just so mad at him. You're like, bro, what the fuck? Your mom just made that for you at the kindness of her heart, got up extra early to do that. Like, who does that? But he doesn't know that. He only knows that like later from talking to her about what happened. He doesn't know at the time. He's just a teenager. And then he goes bowling with his friends. He's having a great time, and the girl that he likes is there, and she's inviting him to go hang out with the. They're actually her cousins, so not just her friend. He says, I don't know, I'm not really sure. Every time I hang out with other Vietnamese kids, it's like a whole other world. And she's like, you should definitely consider it. And he's like, okay, I'll consider it. And like obviously he's considering it for her, not, but still, it's a good thing. That girl he likes does return the movie the next day at the movie store, and she goes, hey, so I know that you usually go bowling after you work, but if you want to come and hang out with me and my cousins, we're gonna go do something. And he's like, okay, yeah, I decided I'm gonna go. And so he goes and hangs out with her and her cousins, and they go to a Vietnamese restaurant, and they order, I think it's just the two of them that are at the table together, but they order the Com Tom Doc Biet, but the name of the chapter is what they eat. And he's like, oh, this is so fucking good. And she's like, yeah, I know, right? Look over there. And there's somebody else with other food. She goes, that looks good too, we're gonna order that too. The next chapter is rice and fish. Thien wakes up to the news as an adult. You can see that his hair is receded, he has big glasses, full round face of an adult. This is jumped in time. And he's seeing on the news, like, build the wall and, all this racist rhetoric against immigrants that were happening, I'm assuming in 2016, maybe before. And so he decides that he's going to get his citizenship once and for all. He practices the questions, he takes the test, he passes, he waits to be sworn in, and when he puts in the application, he actually gets to see a picture of himself, as a little boy, and in the jacket he was wearing, and he just probably hasn't seen that picture either before or in a long time. And so when he is being sworn in, you're hearing different country names of countries in alphabetical order, and it gets finally to Vietnam. And there's a really cool picture, a really cool comic of President Obama. Oh, can you see that? That's Obama right here. Saying, it is an honor and a privilege to call you a fellow citizen of the United States of America. This is now officially your country, your home to protect, to defend, and to serve through active and engaged citizenship. Today marks a very special day in your life. You've traveled a long path to get here. You've sworn solemn oath to this country, and now you have rights of citizenship. With the privileges of citizenship, though, come great responsibilities. And so I ask that you use your freedoms and your talents to contribute to the good of our nation and the world. Remember that in America, no dream is impossible. Like the millions of immigrants who have come before you, you have this opportunity to enrich this country through your contributions to civic society. You can help write the next great chapter of our American story. Together we can keep the beacon that is America burning bright for all the world to see. Such a beautiful speech. And within that speech you do see frames from the story that you just read. The boat burning, them enduring the horrible waves, him meeting Thien, making friends in class, his mom working hard, his dad working hard, and even him as an adult writing this and drawing, working on this graphic memoir. It's all part of his story. It's part of his family's story. It's he takes this new earned citizenship, and I think it looks like the first thing he does is register to vote. And he takes it to his parents, and he's like, look, I'm a citizen now, I'm so excited. And she makes his favorite for him. I'm not going to pretend to try to pronounce that because I already butchered the other and I don't want to disrespect anybody any further. She does make his favorite. His brother comes in with his girlfriend. They have a nice, lovely family picture together, and it does a full circle thing. So in the beginning of the book, he says, I can still remember the saltiness of the fish and the sweetness of the rice. And on the last chapter, at the very end, even now at 41, I can still taste it, the saltiness of the fish and the sweetness of the rice. And it shows the picture that they just took as a family at the very end, and then it goes to the sweetness of the rice, and it's the first picture that they have together as a family at the refugee camp. Then there's a picture of his parents that's inserted inside, and a picture of him when he first came over. Then there's little end notes. He put a little snippet. It's like, what does your parents think about all this? His parents think he's kind of silly for writing about this. They don't think that anybody would want to hear the story or even care. And there's a couple other things at the end, but I mean, it's not part really of the story. It's just more of like a little bit more of Thien's life, if you want to know a little bit more about Thien's life. And yeah, this was really cute. I got this for my boyfriend. He's a chef, so I knew he would love this. He got to the part of the pirate ship. And at the very end, he's on chapter 2, and it's a post-it. It says, okay, so I'm already crying in tears, OMG. Unless that was my post-it note. It does kind of look like my handwriting, now that I say that, now that I look at it. We have similar handwriting. We both have pretty bad handwriting, to be freaking honest with you. But his is worse, so I actually do think this is mine, and I take it back. I made that little remark. Anyways, yeah, I really liked this book. I think my boyfriend's gonna like this book when he finally finishes it. And yeah, I hope you like this book too, even though I just read it to you. I just told you literally everything that happens in it. But yeah, honestly, get it for yourself. When it comes to graphic novels, it's not about really knowing what happens. He could summarize and do a presentation on every single panel in front of like 1 million people, and I would still suggest that people get it for themselves in any way possible. Renting from the library, buying it, getting it as a gift, whatever. It's nice to have on your shelf, not just to look at, but to go back to and reread. It's a really important story. I think it's a beautiful story, and it's well done, and it's emotional. And I think that's what usually gets me to keep books and remember them and want to keep them, is how emotional they made me. And this made me cry multiple times. Usually things that have an effect on me like that, I have a hard time letting go of. So I will recommend this to everyone that I know. I will continue to keep it, and I'll probably reread it a few times in my life, just because it's not that long of a book. It's really easy to read. Actually, I won't say it's easy to read. Being able to hold yourself together. But I'm a little crybaby, so maybe don't take my word for it. I cry over everything. So yeah, that's it for now, and alrighty, bye-bye.